Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a video covering the contract for the Tier 7 Mercenary heavy tank, the Slapjack. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Slapjack, the contract's been going for a wee while, but people have been asking for a video on the old Slapjack for seeing what the tank's like when they do end up getting there. I think there's about 27 days left for it. And as a tank, the Slapjack's okay. It's one of those that just sits there going, yeah, I'm alright. The gun's a bit derpy. The hull down capacity is neutered by the fact that this gun mantlet can be actually penned quite easily. Even though you've got a T29 turret, you've got the gun mantlet of a Tiger 1, and they do pen you through that quite a lot. Not to say the gun is derpy, but you've got very good DPM. The hull armour, you can side scrape a little bit, but generally this side section here does get penned quite easily when you do that. And as a heavy tank, it's not got the best armour in the universe. The strength of the vehicle is the 280 alpha and the pretty good DPM. On the whole, it's a tank that I don't particularly enjoy that much. I don't think it's that great of a tank, but it is a tank that you can just earn by doing the contract. So let's go have a look at the contract for the Slapjack. And as you can see, with Slappy Jacky, we have 27 days left to complete it. At stage 1, as you can see, you earn 2,400 XP or more in any number of battles, and you'll just win a battle, and you'll get stage 1 done, and you'll get some consumables. At stage 2, it's earn 3,600 or more XP in any number of battles, placing the top 5 XP earners on your team in a battle and win a battle, and you'll get some more consumables, a little booster, and a little bit of silver. At stage 3, deal 6,500 or more damage in any number of battles, destroy 2 or more vehicles while the enemy is within 100 meters in any number of battles, so basically up close and personal, and earn 7,200 or more XP in any number of battles. And again, you will get yourself some consumables, some boosters, which are always nice to pick up, and 6,400 silver, which is not much silver at all. You can only do this in mediums and heavies. At stage 4, it's deal 14,000 or more damage in any number of battles and earn 15,600 or more XP. And you'll get yourself some more consumables again, some boosters, and a little bit of silver. At stage 5, it's block 9,000 or more damage in any number of battles, damage enemy modules or crews in 21 battles, and earn 31,200 or more XP in any number of battles. And again, you can only do this in heavy tanks from tier 6 up at this point, with a bit more consumables, another booster, 3 days of premium, which is always nice, and 4,800 silver, so again, the silver you're getting from this isn't minimal. At stage 6, you earn 64,800 or more XP in any number of battles, and land 110 penetrating hits in any number of battles. So you could do that in your medium tanks or heavy tanks that fire very, very quickly, and you'll get those pens pretty fast. And generally, you'll do that in the time it takes you to get the XP. And again, you can do this in mediums and heavy tanks from tier 6 up. You'll get yourself some consumables and 602,000 silver, so we're getting better in terms of the silver earn. At stage 7, destroy 90 or more vehicles in any number of battles, and earn 138,000 or more XP in any number of battles. Medium tanks, heavy tanks, tier 6 up, for 1.5 million silver, which is always handy to pick up when you get that for just finishing stage 7. And at stage 8, you earn 291,600 or more XP in any number of battles, which is a lot of XP, but at the same time, it's just a time sink in the end of the day. Get all your daily doubles. You'll get this done fairly quickly if you're getting all your daily doubles daily. But 27 days is, I'll admit, it's a wee bit close. It's a wee bit close. It has been going for a couple of weeks, so that would have made it easier if I'd done it then, but I've been a bit busy. And ill. Ill is the other one. But yeah. So you've got 27 days to do this contract. Let's say you're picking up a tank at the end of it that's not particularly the best tank in the universe. Still capable. Let's say if you get the chance to use the DPM and the gun can be very, very nice, but the low penetration, the armour not being the best in the universe, it's a bit of a struggle at times, is old Slappy Jacky. So with the Slapjack, what do we run in terms of a crew and equipment? Well, in terms of the crew, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanic, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Armour Angling. Armour Angling to reduce the amount of damage coming to the tank by 5%, because it does get penned very easily, quite a lot. So I do my best to reduce the amount of damage coming into the tank, mixing this with the advanced armour equipment as well. So I'm reducing the amount of damage received by 10%. And then all 3 gun perks, because, well, you want to make this tank's gun as good as possible, because it is very derpy if you do not help it. Track Mechanic, because I do get stuck in this vehicle, and it's nice to have the tracks back on quicker if you've already used your repair kit. And well, these 5 perks are going to run on every tank in World War II, pretty much. And then in terms of the equipment, the Advanced Loader, the advanced armor and optics. Optics will be able to get the view range up to the 486 meters of view range we've got. Advanced armor to reduce the amount of damage coming into the tank by 5%, as you can see here. And the advanced loader to make the DPM better in general on the vehicle, so that we can use what is the key strength of this tank. So let's have a look at the statistics of the vehicle while we've got it fully kitted out like that. And as you can see, we've got a 40km/h top speed and a 14km/h reverse speed. 650 horsepower engine is 13.75 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you do get somewhere close to that 40km/h top speed, but the Slapjack is just a little bit sluggish at times. If you wanted to run the traction system instead of advanced armor, you could get up to 44km/h, and you will get that hull rotation speed up quicker as well, which could be quite nice for the vehicle. So that's always an option. If you feel like it is a little bit too sluggish and this engine power just isn't enough, you could run powertrain to get the horsepower up higher and get that horsepower per ton up, meaning you will be a little bit less sluggish. 20% internal fire chance is on the high end of fire chances, and yes, you will get set on fire in this tank. It happens a lot. Because you've got the hull of an IS, yeah, you will get set on fire a lot. You got 33 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed, which is actually pretty decent for a heavy tank. It does turn fairly quickly for that. The ground resistances at 2.03, 1.2 and 1.01 aren't that bad, but they're still not great. They're in that middle zone where they do affect the tank a little bit, so it's one thing that you could run off-road driving to try and help that if you wanted to. 486 meters of view range is actually pretty good for a tier 7 heavy, so we will take that. I think it used to be worse on this vehicle. So 486 meters of view range is quite nice for the Slapjack, as you will not struggle to spot things. 28.24 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is slower than the tracks, and it does mean the turret rotation is a little bit slow, so bear that in mind. 0.6 accuracy during rotation, though, is actually pretty good for this vehicle, meaning that during rotation of the turret, the accuracy, or the aim circle, I should say, doesn't bloom out too badly at all. With a 2.17 accuracy during movement, yeah, that's not great. The accuracy during movement isn't too good, and that means that when you move the tank, the aim circle becomes rather large. You have a 2.12 second aim time, though, which is fairly decently quick, but at the same time you do feel that with how fast you fire. So it's just one thing to bear in mind, that it does take a little bit to get the gun aimed in, which is why you could run the GLD if you wanted to make that aim time faster, so that you get the gun ready to go and you can maximise your use of the DPM. We've got 10 degrees of gun depression, which is great for the vehicle. It means you are very, very, very flexible on a ridgeline. It means you can use the decent turret armour this vehicle has to bounce shots off of it, but just don't try to rely on the turret armor too much, as, like I say, if people shoot you straight through where the gun is, they will go through it a lot of the time, unless you're against tier 5s and 6s generally. You've got 0.31 accuracy at 100 meters, which is decently accurate, and like I say, it just generally this gun does like a good miss at times, so it's a bit frustrating. 5.62 second reload, which is 2.9k DPM, which is very, very nice for a tier 7 heavy tank, with 280 alpha, which is very impactful at this tier generally, and is nice to have for the DPM that we have. 155 penetration on the standard AP, though, is not very good. With 194 penetration on this premium APCR is a bit of struggle, especially when you're coming against tier 9s, which doesn't happen all too often for tier 7s. It's mostly tier 8 games. Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle, and the penetration on this tank is severely lacking, as it is this short 88mm gun. The other thing that makes this gun feel significantly derpy is 773 meters a second shell velocity on that standard AP round, which, yeah, it just makes the gun feel really derpy when you're firing the AP, because you've really got to give a lot of lead at distance to be able to hit your targets. With 966 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR, that is still below average and is still pretty derpy in terms of that shell velocity. Meaning, again, you still have to give a lot of lead. You will feel a massive difference between the two rounds, but it's still not great. And the HE is the same as the AP, but you don't use the HE that often, as it's only 44mm of penetration for 370 average, which means you're only going to use it against artillery, and with 44 pen, you still struggle to pen quite a few of the artilleries, unless they are tier 5 ones, most of the time. But yeah, that's the Slapjack's statistics. Let's have a quick look at the armour. Like I say, as you are the hull of an IS, the turret of a T-29, and the stock gun and the gun mantlet of a Tiger 1. The turret armour is actually pretty good all around the edges, so if you're up and down on a ridgeline, you can try and bait shots and get shots to bounce off of this turret bit here on the Slapjack. But as soon as they go through your gun mantlet, as you can see here, it's, what are we talking for this gun mantlet? It's 160, Yeah, 160mm of thickness with a bit of spaced armor. It means that a lot of tier 7s, especially heavy tanks, tier 8s, tier 9s, they go straight through this gun manlet every time. So be very, very careful of that with the vehicle in general, as you may look like you've got a good turret, but no, not really, not particularly. And in terms of the modules, this is where the engine bay sits on the Slapjack. As you can see, it's in this back end here. So if you get shot in this back end, it's quite likely you'll get set on fire and you'll have your engine knocked out. And especially the frustrating part is that that's where the transmission is. And a lot of the time, if they shoot you through these drive wheels, they're going to set you on fire. And they'll also knock out your engine. And that's pure pain for the Slapjack. Pure pain. As soon as you get tracked, a lot of the time your engine goes. And a lot of the time you might get set on fire as well. There's the ammunition stowage for the Slapjack. If you get shot in the back of the turret, that's where they're likely to damage your ammo rack. Although it does get awkward ricochets, this side turret profile. Little tiny bits of ammo rack there in the side just underneath the turret. And a little bit of the ammo rack on the tank floor there for Slapjack. So if you want to try and damage the ammo rack, that's kind of where you want to aim. Try and aim just for below the turret and in that section there. And yeah, that's the modules for the Slapjack. And that's the stats and the crew and equipment. But like I said, the Slapjack, it's one of those tanks that's not the greatest in the universe. You can have some fun with it, and like I say, as a tier 7 heavy, you can be decent, but it is a bit of a struggle. The penetration is a real struggle at times, mixed in with the fact that you don't really bounce anything, you get set on fire a lot. It can be pretty frustrating to play, the old Slappy Jacky. But when that DPM does start to work, as you're going to see in some of the replays, oh, it can be beautiful. And the fact that it's not as blind as it used to be back in the day is actually quite nice for it as well, as it used to get out-spotted all the time really easily too. So what I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, see if it's a bit of you or not, and just see some of the strengths and weaknesses of the old vehicle. So as always, everybody, enjoy the replays. So here we are in the replays with Slappy Jacky. It's time to go out and slap those jacks. Okay, don't go slap a jack and then tell them that Petty sent you, because I don't want 1,000 jacks on my doorstep trying to beat me up, okay? Don't do that. Alright? So, with Slappy Jacky, we're on the first map, which is Derpenberg, Kampenberg, Erlenberg. We go through all the names here. And on this map, what I want to do is go to the position at D9, because I can go hull down there, shoot the people across the AB line as they do cross that, and just protect myself by only bearing my turret. Now, I may not have the best turret in the universe, but I still have decent enough armor on the turret that can ricochet shots if I only expose that, so it's the best play to do. But as you can see, my light tank is at B9, and with him being at B9, there's not really any of their team that's bothered with the AB line, which is not the most shocking thing in the universe for Erlenberg encounter, as it happens quite a bit that, yeah, teams just generally don't bother. But we've seen the Tiger 131 and the SMV CC56. They're in a position that I might be able to get shots at them if they poke out, so we're just waiting for them to make a mistake, because if the Tiger 131 drops around this corner and gives me his drive wheel, like so, we can track and pen him, get ourselves some lovely assistance, get a tier 7 tank that is very deadly out of this game. As you can see, that one tracking shot has got that guy out of the game very, very quickly. We also look for the shot into the lower plate of the SMV CC56. Sadly, though, we end up bouncing, although we have a shot, maybe, at him. And there's plenty of destructible cover between me and that SMV, so I can't quite actually feather the shot properly. And we ricochet both shots off his lower plate. And that's because 155 pen is going to struggle with that guy. It's not the most well-armoured TD in the universe, where hitting the lower plate of that thing should most of the time be a guaranteed pen for a lot of vehicles. Because we've got 155 penetration, yeah, we do struggle. But as you see in this encounter, which is a bit of an issue, we cleared the way in that destructible cover building, and thankfully, the Sturmpanzer takes a hit and gets killed, which knocks some cap points out. But it is encounter, and they are sitting in the cap, and the problem with Derpenberg encounter is that they can sit in cover in the cap quite easily, but so can we. So I'm just YOLOing towards the cap to try and get a reset, try and just sit in the cap so that they can't cap it out. Maybe I'll spot some people along the way, and maybe we'll get some extra damage. It would be quite nice to be able to do that. So here we are. There's a 45 TP in the distance, put an APCR shot down range, and then we spot a YAG 88, which is not going to be good for our hit points. Put a shot into his low plate, he puts a shot into us, taking our first shot of damage in this game, but the shot straight through his low plate was quite nice, as it is angled straight up. We actually track and pen him as well, which is glorious, but Well, he's still got a repair kit. Look for the shot into the 45 TP, but sadly we miss. Something that's right next to him unspotted, though, does pop a shot at us, and in fact shoots us again. I knew there was a tank next to him, but I wanted to take the risk to get a shot at the 112 so that I could try and knock a bit of HP off him, get rid of all of his cap points, and just try and help my teammates who were pressuring him. The Aggie 88, we just got to keep our eye on in case he comes round. We see the Sturm Tiger P get a shot with the AP round through the 112, who just sat there with his side on. Thank you, Mr. 112. Put a shot into the side of the 45 TP, who is now a one-shot. This is one of those positions that we're in right now, which is a little bit awkward, and we've always got to be paying attention to the map. Always got to be paying attention to that thing, as there's going to be plenty of shots flying about left, right, and centre where they just go, hello, I'm going to expose myself for 2 seconds. And so you don't want to expose yourself, not in a public place, okay? It's not a good thing. And Mr. Slapjack shuts down those people that do that. So that's what we're here to do. We are the exposing exterminators. So we're up to 2.5k damage with 1475 assistance damage, waiting for this Sturm Tiger P to be able to give us a free shot again with 155 pen. I feel like we might go through the lower plate of that guy. I know that they buffed the cheek armor, so it's not really a possibility, probably. And we ricochet off of his lower plate there with AP. We should realistically be firing APCR at that Sturm Tiger P. That way we'll pen it. And there's the tank that was shooting us earlier on. It's a VZ44, won the tier 7 check heavy tank. We ended up bouncing. We go for the shot into the Sturm Tiger P's lower plate, and that's where the derpiness of the gun came in. Now, it was a fairly slim shot, but we still had a decent amount of his lower plate to hit, and we hit the building right next to him, because of course we did. But we are spotting him, and there we go. We actually get the shot into the lower plate this time. 155 pen will go through it when it gives us enough of the flat lower plate to go through. But if we want to pen the cheeks on that thing... Okay, gun. If we want to pen the cheeks on that thing, we do actually have to fire the APCR. So we're trying to find the cupola on the VZ44-1. As you can see, we're not quite getting fortunate enough to hit it. And trying to shoot tanks at range like that with this short 88mm gun, yeah, it's a bit of a pain with Slapjack. It really can be. So we see the two tanks that are progressing up the JK line. They might be giving us their side, so I'll poke out to see if I can shoot them. But we get spotted and detected instantly. And thankfully, whatever shot at us missed. So we pulled back into the cap again so that we're not going to be taking any hits. And right now, there is nothing left in the cap, as that Sturm Tiger P is dead, I think, or he's just run away from the cap area. So we are going to cap it out quite easily if we wanted to. But I don't want a cap. We know cappy round here. So we are going to go after the tanks that were along that JK, use the buildings, and in fact, the Sturm Tiger P isn't dead. He's just not in the cap anymore. And, well, he is now. But we were going to go after the guys along the JK, see if we can get any shots into them, and use the buildings along this route to keep ourselves covered. But we end up finding a Rhino, Mr. Rhino, with his Tiger 2 hull, Carnarvon Action 10 turret, and Defender gun. So we put a shot into his side that only tracked him, and we are getting all of the juicy spotting on that guy. We need APCR to be able to go through him. I'm not sure why we're sticking with the AP rounds. There we go. We switched to APCR so that we can get the shot into that guy. We're taking a bit of an awkward route around this building, but I do want to get over the bridge and towards this Rhino, as there is only 2 tanks left. And we know where one of them is, and it is the, I think it's the VZ44 one from earlier. Yeah, he's still over there. One evil duck. Quack, quack. That's what that VZ44 one is hearing right now. He's hearing quackety quackety as he's losing all of his hit points, which means that, yeah, we're probably not going to get there, as the LHM TV seems to have this guy wrapped up. And there we go. One last quack for that VZ44 one. We finished the game with a really nice total there for the Slapjack. We finished with the victory. 0 kills, 2.7k damage, 3.6k assistance, the first class, the Confederate medal, with 1831 base XP. A pretty decent game there for the Slapjack on Derpenberg, where we had to put ourselves in a position to try and defend the cap, and just try and keep working out. Use the 1 or 2 strength that this vehicle have, because, like I say, the turret armor is one of those that you don't really want to rely on. If you try and rely on the turret armor on the Slapjack, it's just not going to go well, because that's the moment they start going straight through the gun mantler every time. But it is still an asset that you can use to maximise your ability in the game to impact it, as if they don't hit the gun mantler and they hit the outside of the turret, they are going to ricochet quite a few times off of that turret, and it means you're not going to get penned as easily, because it's not like a CDC where it's pure paper armor and every single shot that's going to hit that is going to pen. It's still usable. It's just not something that you want to sit there going, ha, I'm like a T-29 because I've got the turret of it. I'm going to bounce everything, because it's not going to go well for you doing that. But you could sit there, use the turret, ricochet the shots off of it by bobbing up and down on a ridgeline, and then use what is pretty damn fantastic DPM on this vehicle with that near 3k DPM to just whittle the hit points of the enemy team away fairly quickly and just have a good game. So we're on to this second replay, and this second replay we are here on this map, which is go around like a donut pass, a Duckler pass. And so what we're doing is we're going to go brawl on the heavy tanky flank. Now the one thing that is a lot different these days about Duckler pass compared to what it used to be like is that pushing this flank in heavy tanks is really not that nice from our spawn anymore. It used to be a very valid tactic. It used to be one thing that everyone always did, is the heavy tanks went this way, had a good brawl on these corners, and it was really quite nice. But what happens a lot these days is that tanks push around that outside edge at G8, and there's not much you can do about it. You get farmed by the people that sit and camp at D7, 8 if you try and interact with those guys. And it's just an awkward defense, and the positions that you can take are also very, very awkward if their tanks push fairly aggressively, which is what they should generally do. If they don't push aggressively, that's where they do lose this flank. But that's something that's changed, because when they brought Duckler Pass back, they unfortunately absolutely murdered what was a pretty decent TD spot at F4. And that position used to give you very good cover against people like this VK3002M and this heavy tank that's on our right as well. Because if anyone tried to push that way, they would get farmed pretty easily from that TD spot at F4. And it would just dissuade people from pushing so aggressively around that position. And it would lead to just a very nice, equally fair brawl on this corner. These days, it's not as equal. It's that they have a lot better positions for pushing the corner, and it can be just really, really awkward to brawl, which is why you tend to find that a lot of people just got the 1-2-3 line and don't really bother with this side, which can be a little bit frustrating at times. So, we're currently brawling this VK3601H, which is always going to go well for us. He can pen us, as long as he hits the hull and not the turret front. But we're going to pen him most of the time, and with the DPM, you just shred. Tier 5s and 6s really do struggle against the Slapjack because of how fast you whittle their hit points down. And if you're running an advanced armor and armor angling like I am, you're reducing the amount of damage coming into the tank by 10%. So a lot of the time when they've got the lower alpha as well, like 135, 150, they're hitting you for not much at all, which means that your DPM counts for even more. So currently this Type 58 is farming us, and we are really struggling to even hit him. We've bounced off his turret front once, we're looking for the shot again, and we ricochet again. This is where 155 pen is letting us down a little bit compared to some of the other Tier 7 heavy tanks. But the Type's pulled back, we get a shot into the P43, and we're just looking what we can do. I don't particularly want to push into where that medium tank is yet, as there is still quite a few heavy tanks at H0. And then a surprise Oni appeared. I didn't expect the Oni to be there, and he just sort of appeared, and it's like, oh, that's a bit awkward to have a big Japanese sumo wrestler up behind you. But there we go. We ended up getting the shot into his drive roller, though, and finishing him off. And now we can turn our attention to what is the Tiger P and the medium tanks. Now, this Tiger P fired HE at us, and I'm like, looking at him going, wait, that was HE? Is he? That's a derp gun Tiger P? That was a derp gun Tiger P. If you're on the Tiger P and you're grinding through it, and you see a 105mm gun on it, on your upgrades, don't take it. Just don't do it. Derp gun Tiger and derp gun Tiger P are memes, but they're not a serious tank, and they don't do very well when they use that derp gun. As soon as you see one, you go, oh, it's a derp gun Tiger. Nom 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 nom. That's usually the way it goes. So we're up to 4,000 damage with 3 kills. Hoping to pick up the kill there on the T43, but sadly he ends up getting finished off. Although we do end up getting a shot into the T43 on our left as he took a hit from RT, meaning that we could kill him for our 4th kill of the game. We're up to 4.2k damage with 1,400 assistance. Something starts looking at us from the other end of this road. So you can see I just started to wiggle a little bit to make it as difficult as possible for them to try and blind fire us. And we're just going to push forward and see if we can find them. There it is. It's a Stug 3G. Put a shot into the Stug, and our platoon mate ends up finishing off the old Stuggy boy. meaning there's 3 tanks left on the enemy team. There's a TD, a medium tank, and the artillery. Now, we know where the artillery is going to be. It's been firing at people from this general vicinity, so we know where that guy is going to be. It's a bishop, which means he's not very fast, and he's not going to get out of dodge. And there's the STRV M42. So we wait for him to drive into a position where we can get a shot in. Sadly, the AP shell just hits the ridgeline where we could have shot him. But he's manoeuvring into position. Maybe I can get a shot as he crosses an open section. But it's just a little bit awkward. There's too many houses in between me and him. So with him getting shut down by the SU-122A, we're going to go after this bishop, because we know where the bishop is. So we're going to load the HE rounds, because 44mm of penetration should go through a bishop, I hope. But it's still a bit of a struggle, because 44mm of penetration is not the greatest in the universe for Slapjack. So hopefully we can get that 370 alpha damage round out. So we see the bishop put the shot in, 337. So thankfully the HE did go into that bishop, and he just charges into the medium tank and gets him shut down. Which means there's only 1 tank left on the enemy team. And what I'm going to do now is cut here, because there's another 2 minutes of driving trying to get towards that TD that's in the far corner. And we don't get anywhere near it. So what's the point? 2 minutes of boring driving. So we finished the game with the 4 kills, 4.9k damage, 1400 assistance, 2.3k blocks. The ace tanker, the steel wall, with the 2.4k base XP. A really fantastic game there for Slapjack in a pretty good matchup on Go Round Like a Donut Pass. And we're on to the third and final replay of this video. And we're on this map, which is Swamp. And on Swamp, what we're going to do, on Swamp Encounter at least anyway, is push 2 around H8. Now that is extremely risky on Swamp Encounter, because what you can find quite often is a lot of their team will just push straight down the 890, which means that you can get caught out very, very easily, especially if you don't really have too much backup. And if they have people that go to FG8 as well, they will start shooting you in the side. You'll have people shooting you from the 90, and your hit points will evaporate very, very quickly. So we've come around the corner, found a turtle, and he shot us in the side with HE. We're going to make him pay for that, though, get 2 shots into that turtle. So we've taken off 570 hit points. Maybe we can get 1 more in before he runs away. And for that 1 shot of damage that he put into us, a tier 8 light tank, he's lost 3/4 of his hit points. And we've got 863 damage out of that, so we'll take it. Get rid of the hit points of a tier 8 light tank, fantastic. As it is a tier 8 game, it's a pretty poor matchup for us. And to be honest, for a tier 7 heavy tank, this is generally the average matchup that you're going to end up in, because a lot of the time they do see a lot of tier 8 games. So nothing else seems to have been spotted yet. They've got quite a lot spotted on the opposite the opposite flank. So we're going to go into a better position to try and shoot the guys like this TNH 105-1000. Now our AP round was never going to go through that guy, because neither is our APCR round. So our AP round at 155mm of penetration, yeah, that's going to struggle. But we've got some shots into these guys, and this is where the derpy gun handling comes into play, as we missed the side of the MXM 445. Thankfully, though, we do get the shot into him at that second time of asking. The TNH 105-1000, again, 194 penetration at this distance. We've actually got, this is 479 meters between me and that TNH 105-1000, which means we actually have 168 penetration on our APCR round. We have a large drop-off of our penetration by nearly 30mm at this kind of distance, which means with that kind of penetration, 168 pen, we're really going to struggle with a tier 8 heavy tank, and that's what you've been seeing. Unfortunately, the gun is being derpy with shots into this Black Prince. We're just trying, they'll finally get the penetration into the Black Prince. We'll take that. TNH 105-1000 gets spotted again. We go for the side turret, and with the side of his turret, the APCR round is going to go through, hopefully pick up the kill. And unfortunately, we ricochet there off the side of his turret. Can we kill him, please? Yes! Let's go, Slapjack. We're up to 1972 damage with 175 assistance damage. And we're having a pretty decent game so far. Oh, Mr. Turtle. Don't quite get the shot into that guy. Realistically, that shot was never going to go in. It was just a chancy shot. But I don't really want to push that turtle yet, because there's still quite a bit unspotted, which means there could be quite a bit that does camp back at B9, as people do camp back at B9 and at C0. So you do have to be very, very careful of that. But now we're unspotted. We're going to push down as fast as possible, get low, quickly and get behind the rocks so that we're behind cover. We got a shot into the side of the TS5, which damages Armour. He's now tracked, so we're going to take advantage of that, put a shot into the back end in the hope that we kept him tracked and penned, but it didn't work out like that. Go for the cupola. Sadly, we ricochet because we're not going to pen the cupola of the TS5 with 155 penetration, and he managed to get his gun turned around on target, so we didn't want to stick around in front of that guy. We see the turtle, though, and we want to get rid of that turtle, so Mr. Turtle, we finish off there with a shot to his front. And once again, we are going to move forward. With the TS5 shut down, I want to get to my next push position, which is this little ledge here, where I can stay unspotted, and well, not stay unspotted, I can go hull down, spot the enemy team as I do that, like this ISU-152, and then push out the damage yet again. Now, we got very lucky, because we did bounce that ISU-152 off our turret front. He's got a lot of penetration. If he's firing for 260 pen on the standard AP, he could go through us quite easily. But, like I say, with the T-29 turret that we have on this vehicle, it can bounce shots. If they hit around the gun mantlet, it's just if they shoot the gun mantlet, that's where it's going to go through. So we're up to 2.7k damage and 938 assistance. I was going to push round to D6 and then try and push around behind where those ISUs and stuff were. But randomly, they just decided to YOLO the position I was once in. And by doing that, they got themselves killed. So there's 6 tanks left on the enemy team with 8 on our team, which means the game is still fairly close. So we need to close the gap. We need to get rid of guns out of this game. The AMX M445 is now a one-shot for us with that hit he took from artillery. There's a medium tank at E0, which I still think is the CS53. So we're going to push around and see if we can find anybody else and see if we can get ourselves into position to get some shots into that medium tank. So I'm pushing towards my next point of cover, but we actually have easy shots into the side of the CS53. So we're not going to turn that down. He is fully focused on the other guys pushing him. So we get a shot to... The derpy gun is coming out to play again. This is the gun handling on this tank. It's really frustrating. So we're just trying our best to get rid of him. He's down to a one-shot, and there we go. Finally, we hit him and finish him off. Now there's the Black Prince from earlier on. He's still left. We've got the back of his turret, and we end up hitting the right. So this is what I'm talking about. This gun, it's super frustrating. Super frustrating. We put a shot into the side of the Black Prince. Managed to bounce him, though. Bounce him again. We ricochet off the side of him, firing premium, which is really unfortunate. He pens us. The artillery hits us. Put the Black Prince down to a one-shot, though. Get round him as quickly as possible to keep his gun off of us. And we use that 40 km/h top speed to our advantage to just outmaneuver the Black Prince there and finish him off. There's 2 artillery left on the enemy team, 2 heavy tanks. We know where one arty is. In fact, there it is. It's the M12. We fire a HE round into him, 354, putting him down to a possible one-shot with our other HE. We knew where he was because, well, he was the one that shot us, so we knew he was on our left. So we're going to use the top speed of the vehicle to try and close the distance, and this is where the sluggishness can be a bit of a pain. And we're going to do a swivel, because those guys are going to now be expecting me to just be fully chasing that artillery. So they're going to be set up in a position where maybe they can get shots straight down onto that corner at A7, A8. And if I was to just poke round that corner, I'm probably going to get shotgunned. So I don't want to do that. So the moment I got unspotted, I swivel round and I go the opposite way so that I can try and get these guys out of the game, not get myself shut down, as we are having a very, very nice game. And there's the M4043, who is positioned in a position to shoot there. And there's the M12. Got you! There is no surprising me and Mr. Slappy Jackie. The M4043 is closing distance. Go for the outside drive wheel. Don't track him, but we do damage his engine. Oh, such a sad time. But now he's fired and not killed us. We're locked around his side, which means there's no hope for this guy. Well, we track him. We didn't pen him. Well, okay then. We do that time, though. Keeping him pinned in place. Wait for the reload. Get out of here, Mr. Piggy. 2 sets of bacon in the trolley, and we're ready to check out of this game, as there is 1 tank left on the enemy team. It is the heavy tank in the corner at J2, and he's also on his pigpen adventure, as he's going across to that artillery over there. So we're just going to try and use the mobility of the vehicle, because I actually don't expect this heavy tank to die. I expect him to farm the artillery and then turn around and come after me and the TD that's left. So this is where the 40km/h top speed can be quite nice for the vehicle, but the sluggishness can also hurt us a little bit after going across swampy ground like this, going up and down little bits of incline. It can just be a bit awkward. But the heavy tank's backing off. He's backed off into a position where maybe the TD can shoot him. And if I get around the cap here, maybe I can get a shot into the rear of this T-32. So yes, he takes a hit from what I assume was the TD there. He finishes off the GW Panther, and the KV-4 KTTS does actually have a shot into his rear and finishes him off. And we finish the game with the victory. 6 kills, 5.6k damage, the 2.8k base XP, fantastic base XP score, with the Dimitrius, the ace tanker, the high caliber, the top gun, 1400th top gun of my tanking career, who knew? And a really nice game there for the Slapjack. And yeah, Slapjack, it's not the best tank in the universe. It can be fully capable. DPM is very nice, so when you get to use it, it's great. The turret armor can also be pretty decent as long as they're not hitting the gun mantlet. It's just one of those vehicles that can be a little bit frustrating. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!